Hey there, everybody. Looks like we're live. I am rushing to get this canvas sanded just real quick. I put some, there were things I didn't think about in starting a starting a new painting with short notice of yesterday. And one of them was, oh, I got to get canvas prepared. So I use, the black that I use is like an industrial coating black that has a very hard finish to it, and it's good for. I mix that in with white to get this gray. I just painted it gray because I'm going to be doing a lot of blues for our underwater scene, and so gray is a good color for doing that blue on top of. And the crunchy paint, the hard paint, is good for sanding, but I got to be careful I don't get the dust in my coffee right here. I try to ingest as little paint as possible. Now the reason I'm sanding is just because all these little bumps that you can't really see, but there's little knots, little imperfections in the canvas, a bunch of lint that gets painted. This is cheaper canvas, so I got to do a little extra work. And so I got to do a little extra work to get it paintable. It's totally worth it. Almost done. There. Now it just makes my, brush smokes. I'm thinking faster than I'm talking. My brush strokes are smoother if I just get rid of those extra little bumps and stuff, and I want to do a lot of smooth brush strokes to do the texture of water. Okay, I'm done with the racket, done with the annoying, noisy sanding. And so, hey, let's start out with a little bit of conversation. Let's see who's here. I'm looking at the live chat. And so I'm scrolling up, see who we've got. Good morning, Baltazar and Mary C. And we've got Yungi. Thank you. Good morning. He's making, I was making coffee, but that's not why I was late. I'm sorry, I was late. The coffee was just sitting there being made, out of the espresso machine while I was rushing to get the stuff I needed to prepare the canvas. Yep, sorry I'm late. And I had a failed stream. Sometimes you start a live stream on YouTube and it fails, and then it won't restart that. You have to put all the data in for a new stream, and then I had to repost the link. Technical difficulties. Good morning, RJL. Thanks for being here again. Leanne, back again. And Mike, good to see you. We're gonna see a lot of repeat visitors. Thanks for coming back, guys. Real honor that you spend your Tuesday morning with me. A little overcast this morning, says Leanne. It is so beautiful. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. My ears. Yeah, I apologize for that noise. My ears too. I'm sorry. My bad. Howdy, Joe, says James. Good to have you here, James. Thanks. And we've got Isabel back. All right, cool. RJL says, told ya. All right. Good morning, everyone, says Farah Pazir. Thanks for coming back again. And we've got Peter Klin here. James Verton. That's just canvas. Yes, it is, says James. Yes, it's a canvas stretched across a wood box. That's what it is. All the way down so I can see the new comments coming in. And we've got, hi, good evening from the Netherlands. All right, from the Netherlands. Nice. My wife's been to the Netherlands. I haven't been there. Good afternoon, everyone, says Jesus. All right, cool. It's morning here. Hello, Jesus. And hi, Deborah. Gee whiz. That's good. Good username. Gee whiz. Rock of Gibraltar. All right, cool. That's neat. Like your work, says Matthew Yeager. Thank you. Thank you. Did you finish the desert scene? No, it's the same as it was yesterday. I actually accidentally destroyed the desert scene. So when I put this over, I just stretched this over the top and then started priming it. Oh, it seeped through, and that's really high quality paint. So it bonded really well, and I went to peel it off. Oh, gone. So there's enough of it left that I can repaint the exact details that were lost, though. The good news is I can paint it as many times as I want to. Oh, man. I hope you didn't have your heart set on buying that one. Hola, Joe. I'm going to try to say Sodo Brazil. Adoro seu trabajo. That was my best attempt. You like my work? I think that says you like my work. And I'm going to say thank you. Thank you very much. Joe, it's Cohen from your homeschool art class. Hey, Cohen, good to see you, my friend. Yes, we had an excellent homeschool art class here in Flagstaff. Very fond memories. For a whole school season, we sat down as a group of maybe 13 people or so, painted a backdrop also for a local theater group, drew pictures together. Awesome time we had. So good to see you still at it, Cohen. Glad you're joining us. It's always fun when my local community is able to join in things that are on YouTube. I feel like I've lived two separate lives. I'm just your average Joe here in Flagstaff, Arizona. And then I've got the people that follow me from far away that I've never met. It's fun. It's fun when I get the same crowd together. I always feel complimented when the people that actually know me think I'm worth the time. All right, Jane Tugger from Bismarck. Cool. Sorry, I missed some. Greetings from Philippines. All right, cool. Heisenberg, Philippines. Hi from London. Nice. How is Arizona heat? Well, we are at 7,000 feet altitude. We're pretty high, higher than a mile. So it's cool. It's awesome. Weather here is awesome. But Phoenix down in the desert is already cooking. Man, they are going to be burning up down there in the desert. But up here on the mountain, it is amazing. I feel a little bit sad that I'm not out there right now sitting in the sun. Hi from Texas. All right. Pennsylvania. Cool. We've got people from, Indonesia. Nice. I haven't seen that one yet. Very cool. Thanks for being here from Indonesia. Poland. Awesome. Man, if I could just visit every place, how I would love that. Hi from Washington. Cool. India, bro. Cool. Los Angeles. 6,400 feet where Billy lives. All right. You're up there in the sky as well. Bulgaria. Cool. Your oldest subscriber, says Sandeep. All right, man. I don't know how to verify that, but thank you so much. That means that you have seen a lot of me in different lights. The old videos are quite a bit different than the newer ones. Tunisia. All right, cool. Barbados. Hot down here, says Kaiser. I'm going to start painting now. And so we've got, okay, so I've got an underwater series that I want you to consider looking at my site, how to paint underwater scenes. But a valuable thing to know about all of the material that I put out and that I sell is that I'm trying to I'm trying to give people that want not just an experience. It's not really made for a one-time experience. It's made for trying to answer hard questions that help me very much to remember for future work. So I want to be a better artist. I want to keep producing art, and understanding the parts that things are made of is the key to that. So in all of my material, so I've got an underwater scene that's kind of like that. I'm explaining, okay, here we're looking at the face of the waves, backside of the waves, these colors for this reason. A lot of explaining in order to try to equip the viewer with the ability to create a scene. And so that's the approach that we're going to be doing on this one, just a different kind of scene, maybe a different look to it. It's a great tutorial. Thank you so much, John. Thanks for that shout out. I appreciate that. Do you ever have problems with painted buildup, with using the canvas as a palette? Yeah, that came up in the last one too. I do have a problem with that. And I've learned over time to carefully distribute the spots where I'm mixing the paint. One more thing to keep track of while I'm mixing, right? But because it provides so much speed, it's worth it. So I will use one spot for maybe 10 minutes or so to mix, and then I'll move on to another spot, wipe that out and smooth it. It's a good thing to be aware of, that it can create texture that you don't want. Teach us to fish, Joe. If I was a good fisherman, I would definitely answer that question. But even my daughter outfishes me. Okay, so now we're going to open up the paints, and first thing I'm going to do is, just like in that lesson, in that series, that is I'm popping lids off of my cans. So I've got lids. Anybody watch for the first time, I'm not going to go through and explain all the colors, because I know a lot of you were already here for all that. And so I'm just going to tip this down and show you. I'm working out of quarts of wall paint. So this is the same kind of paint you would use for your wall. You want to see something funny? Teach a man to fish. Yeah, right. The old proverb. Does your daughter paint as well? Well, she is a very talented artist. You know, none of my kids really took to it like I did. By their age, I was just full force, all of my energy in it. And they have many other interests that they're really, really good at. She is academically inclined, where I was not. Amazing accomplishments in her schoolwork and studies. But she also is very, very artistic. Both of my kids are. I think if they ever desired to, they could definitely get up to the level where I operate. So look at this funny thing. This is what I'm using for a tripod. I've got this webcam. So you can look up a Logitech C920 for the webcam. That's what I'm using. And I'm putting it on this skateboard deck right here that's on an easel, because I can scoot it along that top edge. I had trouble with the camera too much yesterday, and I was like, I got to think of a better plan. So now I've got this on here, and I can just find the angles I need and move it way over here on the skateboard to see the cameras. Man, whatever works, you got to just do what works. Nice setup. Thanks. Anything for a better painting, better video. My life revolves around this. Please, one class, oil colors, start to end. Okay, you got it. We'll do it. We'll do oils. I just got to do a smaller painting, because I'm not Bob Ross. I'm not the master. He is the master of oils with the palette knife, and so I can't cover the surface area that he could, but I can definitely show you how to do all the same color tricks and everything with oil that I do with the water base. So the first thing I'll do on this one is put a gradient in place. And so this is where I'm deciding. This Seen Your Way series more than 100 times. Oh, wow, cool. This is where I'm deciding what kind of a scene I want to have. So I'm thinking on this one, it's going to be deep. I want to see the surface way up there. And so I'm going to put, because if I put a mermaid in here, you know, we were talking about putting a mermaid in there, which I think would be cool because I've never done that. I want to make it like the mermaid is swimming down from a high surface. And you know, I haven't done an underwater scene where the surface is like way up there. So I'm going to put smaller shapes up at the top. So this is the part in an underwater painting where I'm just creating the gradients that I need in order to have the height, in order to set the height of the surface of the water. And I think it'd be cool to tilt it too. More and more, I'm leaning toward, I don't mean to make that that pun, but I'm leaning toward paintings that are not level, you know. And so I just like, I like messing with the alternative perspective and angles. So I'm just putting blue and white, phthalo blue, pure white. A good phthalo blue, in my opinion, the value of what's valuable about a phthalo blue is how it turns turquoise when it hits white. This turquoise color here. So if I pull a phthalo blue out, like, I'm sorry, Winsor and Newton, but I pulled out a phthalo blue, and when I added white, I just got a lighter grayer color. I didn't get this brilliant turquoise. I used Grumbacher, and this did happen. And so I think a good phthalo blue is when you get all that turquoise when you add white. So for whatever reason, it didn't happen. You know, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm not sure I'll ever go that route because I like being able to just say the truth about the stuff I use, not have pressure to give a certain response, you know. I'm going to curve it a little bit. So in here, I'm going to go, and do you know why I'm going to curve it like that? Because when we look, we have this circle radius around our vision, right? So we're not going to have just a level line. So in a painting, I want it to feel like when I look out here, the edge of the bright water is equally as far as where it's here, right? So I'm just kind of spinning from a center point, looking around. So if I make that curve, it feels more like that 3D environment. So I'm just going to put all my little waves on the surface along a curve like this. I'm going to do nice, dark, deep water, just pure blue here. Put it down. And my only concern is light enough that I can see other things. And look, right behind me is this one. Right behind me on the wall is this underwater scene. This is the painting that I made the underwater series from. If you look over there, there's my underwater painting, see, hanging on the wall. And there's my camera I've got tied to a rope, looking down at my drawing pad right there. Trying to make some overhead footage of some drawing videos. And so in that one, you see a lighter blue. That was why I showed it to you just now. I used a lighter blue, but then I don't get the depth. So I want a deep picture. So I'm going to go darker in at least one spot where I'm just full saturation of this blue. So I'm going to have a lot of shadow in this picture. And I think that it'd probably be a good idea to maybe not go so saturated, because I want to leave room. It's a beautiful color and everything, and it's really fun, but you can get tricked when you're right at the beginning of a painting into leaving yourself no room for highlights. And so when you go too bright, too vivid, too wow with your painting right at the beginning, no room for highlights. So I'm adding black. I'm just putting black in here, not because I need it to be darker. I just need it to be not quite as vivid, pure blue. So I'm going to take this, blend it around. I'm going to put more paint on. So as a general rule, I find it easier to slap the paint on the canvas first, so I can get multiple brush loads of that blue on there. And once I have lots of blue on there, then I can get my other colors in place. So let's put white there now. And I've already got black. So I apply first, blend after it's applied, because it's not drying super fast. As long as it's just sitting on there in a big wet blob, it's not drying super fast on me. So here I want it lighter as it goes up. Over here, I got more of that blue to blend. So look how it gives me all of that time to blend this, because I use a lot of color. So I've got brighter, more turquoise water coming down right here. And this is the key, you know, when you want the effect of light, when you want light, there's two things that you need. You need the light to have color, and so if you just decide the color of the light, especially light that's shining through a substance, there needs to be color there because it's getting filtered. And you know, you take white light and you filter it through any kind of a thing. You know, my mom gave me these cool little things. Look, these little cubes. These are the cyan, magenta, and yellow colors. You can stack these little crystals on top of each other. But so when you have a thing like this is similar to water in the way that it's removing a lot of the light and just leaving the purple color behind. And so when light's coming through something, it's good to understand you need to have color. And then I shift the hue to get it to look more like light. I shift this toward green as it gets brighter. So this dark blue, and the nice thing about this phthalo blue is it just does that. When I add white to it, it turns more green. So I get this more turquoise blue. You can see this doesn't look as turquoise in here. And that's true to what I'm looking at too. This is lifelike coloring here on the screen. We've got a more turquoise blue, a less turquoise in the dark. So this is one color that I don't have to adjust when I'm doing this. But I will adjust it a little bit to enhance that effect. So let's put white up here. I just want to get a little more of my light colors on here. A little brighter up in here. Maybe a little more of that blue right here. And now I'm set up with a good gradient. Good gradient to make my deep water below. So I guess I don't really need to worry about making it real smooth because I'm just going to paint a whole bunch of texture over a lot of this. I'm more concerned with just the overall color balance of my gradient here. Just go like this. And it gets darker, maybe a little lighter. This is a little bit dark in here still. It's high up in the painting. I want to be able to see stuff here, so I'll go a little bit lighter. Add some white there. I just gave my brush just a little dunk in the water. Keep a water bucket handy. I just gave a little touch to the water. Makes it flow out a lot faster. This is why it's so addicting for me to work with water base, because you just can't go this fast with oil. It just doesn't have the, if you get oil this thin to move this fast, then it's going to be really messy. And so it's just different. But I like working fast, so the water base really lends itself to that for me. Okay, I like this gradient. I like the way that looks. And we did talk about an underwater forest. And I think that is a really cool idea. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to put a horizon in here. Some kind of trees. Who even knows what kind of trees would be in an underwater forest? So we're going to go black. Now in a minute here, I'm going to stop and we'll do a little bit of Q&A if anybody wants to. I'll be sure to give moments for that as I progress. So I'm going to make a darker horizon of some trees. And what I'm going to do is just make them maybe not as blue as the rest. So I've got blue and black right here. And I'm going to add a little bit of white. There we go. See how it's a little bit darker there? All right, so let's make some trees. Oh, we need it to be a little bit darker. A little bit darker. Blue and black. I get the color first, I'll move on to the shapes after I get the color. All right, let's put some trees in here. I don't know what shape trees to make, but since I've got my scene kind of tilted, it'd be smarter to make them kind of going this way, wouldn't it? So let's go like this. Like this. And this is just an initial layout, just to get a vision here. Let's put like a big one going. Underground pine trees. Wow. That's not something I've seen. But who knows what kind of plants those might be. I just know I'm making kind of an underground. It's starting to look like a nighttime forest scene. I would do a similar thing for that, just not so turquoise. And so then we'll come over here and put darker color here. Let's get more of that blue and a little bit of white. And we're making this same mix again. It's a little more gray there. Let's add a bit more blue and put some more of these trees in here. Maybe there's like some kind of a branch coming out across the top right here, kind of coming across here, maybe across here. I'm just being creative with shapes, just thinking, all right, we got trees, maybe we've got a close one here that we kind of see some kind of leaves coming off of, and make some dark shapes in here. I'm just kind of obscure the edges there. And so now I feel like I want a little bit of a landscape here. Let's make a slope coming down. So that, a sea floor, whatever color it is, if it's like anything brownish, that's a dark orange. Orange and blue are going to make a gray violet if the light mixes. But since we're dealing with filtering coming through, then I probably won't go as much on the violet side because it's going to do more like what paint would do. Paint filters as the light goes through. So I'm just thinking my way through a long roundabout way to arrive at gray. We need gray for some land coming down like this. So I can just add white to this color. And anywhere I put this color coming out of this backdrop, we'll have some sea floor coming down maybe. Except I'll just put a little bit, maybe like maybe some hills. Let's put a little more black in here where maybe I have a closer cliff right here. What else would you have? What else would be like a magical thing underwater where a mermaid is swimming? Someone said like an underground city or something like that. That'd be kind of cool to put some geometric shapes like some kind of a city, huh? So here, wherever I want it closer, it's just less blue. Just making it less blue where it comes closer. And then it's just going to be more of that background blue wherever it's further away. Let's come down here, and I'm just angling everything kind of out from this point so that I'm kind of at a tilted angle here. And I think it'd be cool to go down even further like this. Let's put this going down like there's a cliff here, and then it goes back down into deep water again. So if we go blue right here. So this is kind of opposite a landscape where, you know, like what I painted yesterday, where we got waterfall going down into a mist, and it gets lighter as it goes down into that atmosphere. This atmosphere that we're in makes everything lighter because it's such a light sunlit atmosphere. But this atmosphere is very dark, so I've got to make things darker and bluer as they disappear into this atmosphere. So this is going to be my landmass disappearing down into this atmosphere. And we'll go ahead and put some black in there. We'll just make this nice and dark. We'll make like a valley back here. There, I've got a little bit of far deep water represented going down into a canyon. I got to remember to go to angle. I can't don't want to switch my perspective. Like that, and then let's get a little of this gray and make a little more of these gray highlights going this way. Coming down here like so. Maybe a couple little edges of rocks popping out into the light a little bit. Oh, that's way too bright. We don't want it that bright. So maybe some rocky cliffs coming down a valley right here. And they've just got to get darker and bluer as they go back, but I just want to have just the littlest suggestion of some kind of an edge there. And so when I'm making a more impressionistic landscape, the size of brushstroke is a big deal. Just creating scale with the suggested size of all the turns and curves of the landscape comes down to how big my brushstrokes are. So if I make them bigger right here, then this is going to look like closer objects. You can see the difference here. Big, broad strokes, tiny strokes creates perspective. And I have more than one thing telling the same story. I've got the lines, the angles saying that's further because the perspective, but then I've got the scale of the brushstrokes doing the same thing for me. All right, we've got kind of a canyon in there, and then, you know, maybe we've got another one in here coming down in front of it. Let's do this. Let's go white right here, and let's put some black in it like this, and just make this get further and further away. Disappears right into that atmosphere. Comes closer here, just lighter and grayer where it comes closer. Now I'll just kind of break it up a little, make it not just a smooth gradient, make a little bit of texture on the ground where it's coming forward. And then maybe we've got, you know, maybe a couple layers of it. Let's put a further one right above it. A little more blue in this mix. So we've got blue, black. Let's bring that right down to there. And then we'll lighten it a little right here. We'll keep this one a little darker than this one out in front of it. So let's blend them together real quick. And where I want this to go further away, I just make it darker. Darker and bluer like the water. And then we've got a separate layer. Separate layer on the ground here. Let's make some little edges on the cliff. Like this. Maybe some little rocky edges. It's fun to look over and see my painting on the screen. This is such a fun way to produce something, to see it to my right small. All right, now let's put a few plants in here, and I feel like it'd be cool to kind of see some land formation coming across maybe. So I always like arches and tunnels, things like that. So how cool would it be if I darkened this right here so that it looks like you could kind of swim under it, but then up here is I got to put black first so that it won't be too blue. Here's going to be like a rock coming out and across. I don't know, maybe a giant piece of coral or something. Let's put some highlight on it. Make that come out and across there, like this. Maybe a couple more, kind of tilting this way to stay with my perspective, going up like that. And now let's just tone down those highlights so they're not too extreme. Just gotta, it's bluer, that's good. It's bluer, so it's gonna look further away. Just barely lighter than the water, just to see that highlight on the top. And then let's just darken in the front face of it. Like this. Maybe a little more black in there. Put some shadow. There we go. Just arriving at, just the right darkness. This is so important in building a landscape, is trying to be super sensitive to what needs to be lighter and what needs to be darker in order to leave room for everything else, because we've got everything just kind of scrunched into a very small color space compared to what we see outside. So we've got kind of a tunnel to swim through now, and maybe I'll put like a little pocket in there as well. Kind of like these dark spots. So this would be kind of fun to put like a cave in here. Let's see if we can scoot a little bit closer. Hang on. Highly experimental tripod here. I'm going to try sliding this over just a little bit. Sliding over. Oh man, look at that. It works so good. Okay. Just to be a little bit closer while I paint this. Of course, I don't know if that's really a better view. I'm just trying to get you a little closer. I'm going to paint a little cave right in here. Nice and dark and not so blue to be closer. And then we'll go white down here where I want, just seafloor coming out of that cave. White getting darker as it goes into it. Let's just put some texture in there, and then let's maybe make some edges on this. Maybe make a more chiseled edge on this top, like there's a rock right there or something. And then go over the top of it right here. Maybe it needs a little more white. Just highlighting this upper side of it where it's up in the foreground, you know, not as buried in all that dark water. So it really comes forward. But look at the difference now that it makes. Grayer colors, bluer colors. Look how that just slips away into that atmosphere by having that. Okay, now one problem here. I've got my perspective going this way, but then here it's going this way. So I'm gonna adjust this line a little bit. Don't want to forget the perspective. Here, let's just adjust this way. There we go. I just want it to be more consistent with the rest of the picture, you know. Let's put that dark color going back under here and make more of a jagged edge on the top of it, maybe. Just leave that sharp edge. Right there, maybe coming out here. And I'll put a little more white, maybe right here to really bring this foreground out. You know, if you get the colors dialed in a picture, they create three-dimensional shapes just because of what color they are. So I really work hard on getting just the right shade. Tiny differences in a shade make really big visual differences. So don't underestimate the power of a tiny little tweak on a shade of gray to be either a shadow or something else, you know. This is kind of cool, this little pocket in here. That was just a little spontaneous addition, but I kind of made separate shapes, kind of mushroomy shapes coming across. That's pretty fun. So if I was going to put like a city in here, I think it would be right back in here. And so let's make this real distant. And somehow I've got to get more kind of geometric shapes. So let's go make kind of a dark blue base, a little bit of black in there so it's not as blue. This is going to be closer than this water up in here. It's getting higher out of here, out of this water, so I can start going lighter. Now I'm just taking the brush. Look, this brush conveniently has a very square end on it. Oh man, that's weird. It looks like this brush is just going right into the painting. I put it there and it's like, when I looked at the computer screen, the brush is just going. I should try a special effect trick on a video someday where it like makes ripples when I. Okay, anyway, I got this square edge and it's making these nice square shapes for me. And you know what I'm going to do is try to use that to create something like a fantasy city structure. Let's make like some square shapes coming down like this. You know, I think if you just go geometric on a picture instead of a bunch of organic curves, then it immediately has the potential to look like, you know, man-made, for lack of a better description, to look like a built city. Let's make some more creative shapes on here. I want something that looks like buildings and not plants and rocks. Let's put a little more blue. Yeah, we can always rebuild those trees in front of it, no big deal. And put some more of these shapes going up here, like so. Let's make like a more angled one here. Let's go like this, maybe like this. This is kind of a fun shape here. This is facing toward the light, so I'm going to put more light on it. Put like a reflective edge on that one. That's fun. Let's put another edge here. Just little differences in these values, I think, will really make an interesting cityscape back here. Now you know what we need. We need little windows on everything. Okay, let's go like this. Of course, an underwater scene doesn't have to be like a, it doesn't really need to be the same thing as an out of water city. I don't have to have all the same things, but I just want like some geometric shapes that just feel like they're buildings. I put these at an angle to make a little bit of perspective there. Like I've got this line kind of sloped. Let's go there, and then let's put like a mermaid I don't know, mermaid palace fortress thing in the back. Put a pointed top, make it like the shape of a gem. Let's go like this, go over like this, and then we'll go like this and put edges on that. All you got to do is just get the highlights in place, get enough for imagination to fill in the rest, Now I'm going to sharpen that corner. Let's go like this. And I'm going to go a little bit darker on that middle. Oh, that's kind of cool. The blue is cool because what if this is like more of a translucent thing? Let's go like this. And then if we put a little bit of green in there, watch. If I put just a little bit of that phthalo green and some white, let's do a little bit of special effects. I'm going to put a little bit of light coming down through this like it's a crystal, like that. Just a little bit of that phthalo green. If you just shift the hue on a highlight like that, you can make it so that it's. See, I don't need to like understand all the turns and edges of a crystal to get the look of a crystal back there. I just put the general shape and then that little splash of that green highlight to get the look of like a crystal tower there in the back. Okay, now let's get more. I'm ready to wrap this up. This little bit of a city structure. I think it kind of needs a dome right here. A dome structure. So let's put black and blue for our colors, and then put some white right on the top of this, like that. Get rid of some excess paint down here. Now I'm just darkening this white so that it's not such a bright highlight, because I need that I need that perfect balance that's going to let me put other things in this picture, you know. So I think, again, it'd be cool to make this kind of a translucent dome, don't you think? Like put some light going through it. A little bit of reflection on the top. We're going to get darker in the middle. So, you know, we can make reflection by a grayer color. Reflection off the surface is grayer. Okay, now let's add some black and blue. Let's just put a bunch of blue in here. So remember I said when light shines through things, we get color. When it shines through something, we get color. So typically, general rule. Now, I'm going to put some black to make this nice and dark, but still preserve a lot of that color in there. So black right there. I'm just getting rid of excess right here. All right, so let's go like this. Blend that into there, and then down here where all that blue is, that's where I'm going to put my translucent effect. So in here is the green, and we'll just put a little highlight in there. And because of the saturated color that I'm going to make this, it'll look like it's inside of that rather than somewhere on it. Because of this color relationship, that's what makes that effect, is this color relationship. Glowing, shifting hue as it shines through. It's got the reflection, the shadow, the shift, and the glow. All right, so I'm going to put a few little plants back in front of this. I kind of liked that look, and then we'll read a few comments before I go up here and wrap up the session with surface, doing the underwater surface, looking up at that. So real quick, I'm putting my trees in place. I'm going to put some darker ones now, and we'll scoot back over and look at the whole picture. Let's put this back over here like so you can see this whole thing. And now I'm going to put my darker, closer plants in place. So let's even put a little green in it now, because it's closer and I'm starting to see the natural color that's there. So a little bit of green. It's going to turn real dark until I hit it with a tiny bit of white. So we'll just put a few little highlights in here. Let's put some dark shape. So if a color looks like it matches, that means it's darker than any of the, compared to the dry paint. If it matches any of my dry paint, it means it's darker. All right, we've got some underwater fir trees. Like this. And then maybe it would be cool to put like some seaweed in here too, huh? Let's put like some little plants. We'll put colorful things and highlights. We'll try to think of some cool stuff to put in there. Put more of that in. And I definitely think it'd be neat to put some plants coming up from here. Actually, let's just do a little bit right now. Here, let's do black, white, blue, green. Let's just see what happens if I just come in here and put leaf shapes going up in different directions, like they're just flowing. And then I'll just use more black down here, like I'm painting grass. Let's use lots of blue and black. Get some good colored shadows down in here, maybe green too. Blue, black, green, colorful shadows to get a deep kind of translucent look to those shadows, so that it looks like I've got lots of different layers of plants maybe growing out of there. Color in the shadows, you know, something that is easily lost in painting is the color that's in the shadows. I'm going to put a little more of that that darker shadow, blue, green, and maybe grab a little bit of white and create some highlight color. Put that up in here, a little bit in here. It's kind of neat how the brush makes a light edge and a dark edge like that. You get shapes going across. But, you know, getting that color right, that's where the magic is. Just getting that color to turn the otherwise messy random brush strokes. This wouldn't look like nothing if the brush were not colored well, you know. Okay. Yeah, I like that look. That's kind of a fun little foreground item, that stuff going out of the valley. This is the city sewage system. That's what it's making me think of as I look at this. Kind of takes the magic out of it, doesn't it? I'm sorry. Make a little bit of ground showing up right here in the front. Going up under this. A little more angle on that. Let's make that black color. Bring it up on this edge. I'm just giving myself some shadow to work with. This paint dried, so I'm just adding more so I can do the same thing, but bring some highlight down on this little trail here. Let's angle it down just a little. See the very base. See, I'm just kind of staying off the canvas at the edge where I've got my clips. Right here. It's fun, you know, you do this multiple times where you just put the shadow down, put the highlight, big brush strokes, and it's fun how each time it feels like the shapes get more specific because the paint has done some work and caused your imagination to run a little bit. And so now it's like, okay, I'm starting to see something in here. I see a trail bending back around into this tunnel. And so then the shapes get more and more specific with each layer. I see it kind of dropping down more steep right here, you know, and I've kind of got a cliff edge right there going back. And so I'll be pretty loose with the first layer, come back with the same technique, same method, just another layer on top of it. It's not a detail layer, it's just a second pass to continue to create stuff. Look, this is how you make rocks in a trail. You've got dark shadows already right here, dark shadows. And wherever I have a dark shadow, that's where I put a little highlight, just right on top of that dark shadow. You can very quickly make rocks on a trail without slaving over details if you just use that method. I'm just going to tone down this bright white. I don't want it to be that bright white, so I'm hitting it a couple more times, make it softer. I don't want anything super bright in this picture. Okay, so I've got an interesting scene built there. It's kind of weird. And now I'm ready to go up to the top. So I'll be working up here. Oh yeah, you can see the top of that canvas good. And here's where I want to put the light shining down through that atmosphere. So any questions, comments so far, go ahead and shoot, and see if I can finish a little bit of coffee while I'm reading. There's a creature screaming upright. You're seeing shapes. Just this is a story of my life, is seeing shapes in the brushstrokes. That's why, that's why I do that. So my imagination runs with it. True, depending on where they live and hunt. Okay. Let's see if there's any stuff I can answer here. Love the content, my brother. All right, thanks, Brett. It's very nice of you to say thanks for your time. Thank you for your time watching. Equally satisfying and beneficial on both ends, I'm sure. You have to make these sounds. Yeah, sound effects. I was a lot more self-conscious about it early on, but then I realized, hey man, this is a big part of my creative mode, feeling it. And I feel like I had a valuable realization that part of being human is associating shape with sound. So, not to get too sciencey, but I have or shape, movement, sound. And so maybe you could throw in color there too. It's like it's like three things that just go together. They associate. The dome looks at the same relative spots in space. So you must be talking about something earlier. Would you go back over with thinner paint like a glaze? Yeah, if you want. If you want to add more color, if you do a thin layer of blue on this, it'll get more vivid blue. I don't very often go lighter over darker because it just grays out colors, but darker over lighter can be a cool effect. Where's this going? Says RDNAC. It's going, we're going to put a mermaid swimming somewhere down in front of the city, and I think I'm going to give her a friend dolphin and show how to do the underwater like splashes and bubbles while they're swimming, something like that, something fun. Bubbles. How would you add bubbles? Oh yeah, great question. Yeah, we can do bubbles. Do you use golden ratio ever? Man, I have studied the golden ratio, trying to figure out why it exists, why we care. It is indeed in all kinds of nature. It's fascinating, isn't it? And so, no, intentionally, I don't use it much, but I do believe that it's a valuable thing to use. So anybody that doesn't know what the golden ratio is, if you make a sequence where each segment of the sequence you're going to do length of line is the sum of the two lines before it, two segments before it, you have what's called the golden ratio. You would have to multiply each segment by 1.618 in order to get to the next segment. And so you can just look up divine ratio, golden ratio, and see all the patterns that have been created with that. It's crazy. It's in like snail shells and pine cones, and there's the spiral. Nope, I don't use it. City lights in biolume. Yeah, perhaps. Respect from Russia. Hey, all right. Thank you very much for tuning in from Russia. Hello from Spain, says Danny Vikingo. And it says, I like the way you draw and paint. I follow you in the shadows. Some years ago, great work you always make. I have a question. Do you listen to any music while painting? Oh yeah. Oh man, I love music. I just can't do it on these live streams because of copyright licensing issues. But music is a big deal for me. I really love that. I feel a little embarrassed saying that I like electronic music. I like feel good, dancey music while I'm working, bebopping around. I like this group called High as a Kite. You can look up High as a Kite. I think I don't want to get this wrong. I think they're from Norway. I think, but it's just the sound just sounds fantastic to me. And I like a group called Broods, Broods, Broods. And so, there's a lot of music that I really like, just feel good music. What is that LA group? What is that LA group that I really like to listen to? Odessa, man, they got awesome sounds. So that's one of the fundamentals for me, is having good jams while I'm working. But I can handle I can handle an hour or two with no music, especially if I've got good company. Saludos desde Lima, Peru. I hope I said that all right, says Ruben Oriega Medina. Hey, good to have you here. Good to have you here. Thanks for tuning in, Ruben. Whatever floats your boat, Joe. Yeah, that's something you say when someone just says a weird thing. I just say, well, whatever floats your boat. I'm not judging. Okay, let's do some light at the top real quick before we end the session today. We're at 10:17. I like to try to keep these at an hour, which I have yet to do. But maybe in actual paint time, it'll be around an hour. And this doesn't take too long. Danny says, did you use any ocean references before starting? Well, yes. I think to be accurate, yes. Not specifically before this one, but the patterns that I've studied over and over the course of years is repeating. It's a repeating pattern in every underwater scene, and I'm using that knowledge. So to be fair, studied thousands of photos probably, just looking for the patterns that repeat. I'm going to answer one more here because it looks like an interesting long one. Hey, Joe, I'm working on a mixed media piece. I'm stuck. Can I email you the piece? Can I email the piece to you for recommendations? I'm artistically stuck. Thanks. You are the best. Oh, since you said I'm the best, I'm going to look at it. But, oh, wait, study all of your work, Cleveland, Ohio. Are you from Ohio? I grew up in Ohio. Marion, Ohio is where I grew up. I'm just going to say that it's an amazing little town. That's all I'm going to say about it. There's really good people there. Where's the mermaid? Oh, we'll get to it. You go to Cleveland. All right, you got to post it somewhere. You got to post it somewhere for me to look and leave me the link to it, and I'll go look. Post it in the comments. You can send me a Facebook message. So if you go to Facebook, Mural Joe, just send me a message there. It'll come into my inbox. If you want me to look, just leave it one of those places. I'll read the comments. I'll look for the link. Okay, now let's do some bright light popping through the water up here. Bright white. And so I'm not going to do any small shapes. We're just going to go lighter than the blue that's on there. So this is why it's important to leave, and I'm using a little smaller brush now so that I can more quickly make all my small shapes. And so this is why it's important to leave this just dark enough, because I want to be able to see these highlights that I'm going to put in here. And I don't want to go to pure white just yet. So, and here I'm thinking I want some big waves and some little waves. So I'm going to put a little water brush and go. So the way I make that shape is like this. Just take the brush and I hit one corner first, and it makes a small point of contact, just barely touches. And then I do a swoop toward the canvas and away again, and it creates a diamond shape. So more like just a spear shape. Doesn't do as good on the palm of your hand, but I want you to see that pass I'm doing like that. Okay, so I put a little bit of water in there, and I'm going to put some going this way. It's okay if they run together. It's okay if they overlap. Now I'm going to put a group of them going another way. So I'm thinking waves within waves, and to produce that look, I'm going to work in larger swooping sections. So here's one big swoop I'm working within. And I got to make sure I don't want all the little fuzzies on my brush showing in these shapes. I want nice smooth shapes. So I got to use water. So I keep just touching the water bucket, going back up here to my blue. And we're going to go like that. And then we're going to go like this. Make another shape. Now I'm on a third shape right here. then maybe just make a couple little whoop-de-doos right in the middle, connect them together. Let's just blend this out because it's not lighter anymore, so it has no use up in here. Let's take this. Now, if I want this to be further away, this surface, then I can't go too big. I've got to keep this area smaller. So let's go here, finish some of these spots in this section. Now, if you want to do this effect with the surface, you need color. It really helps to have color. So make sure that in this area, you've got contrast and you've left yourself room to go lighter. And then if you leave yourself room, you don't have to add so much white that it's colorless. And so then some of you have mentioned glazing. If I need more color on something that I need to go pure white for brightness sake, I can glaze over it and get color at an even brighter level than if I'm mixing. Glazing is the brightest color. And by glazing, I just mean thin layer of color over the top of white. You can get the brightest color possible. Okay. So I'm going to do a little bit more in here in this darker tone. I'm just going to mix more because I'm running out of paint up there. We've got blue and white. And since I'm going to take this and put it down lower, right here, I'm not going to make it quite as bright as the rest. So just little tiny dots in here. Let's go. Let's make some lines. I like lines. Like this. So I'm just working in these kind of smiley shapes. These are probably going to disappear. They're going to darken when they dry, probably not even be visible. Let's get a little more water because I'm losing my edges. Whenever my edges start to get all fuzzy like the brush. That's when I go get some water and just kind of mix it into there. Do a couple little bigger shapes, but like I said, scale can be created with brushstroke size, with the size of your shapes. And so I'm creating a further away scale than maybe like an up close underwater beach, creating a smaller scale with smaller shapes here. Let's get a little bit more of this. Wherever I put one, I want to put a couple more. I just think they look better in little groups. Better get a little bit more blue for those far away ones. There we go. See, these are real far away, so they're bluer because they're far away. And then we'll go in here, put it through here. I feel like, oh, we're dripping. Too much water right there. Maybe just a couple more in there. So you can see I don't get a whole lot of brush strokes out of one load of paint. I have to go back pretty frequently to get smooth brush strokes. And I have to use kind of a lot of paint. So whatever it takes, it's fun to be able to get this look. So I'll go back as many times as I need to keep the edges smooth, keep my little tapered ends, just shapes that kind of taper out on the edges. Now I'm going to go to a shade lighter. So up in here, let's just go a little lighter and do shapes inside of those shapes. Make another layer to this. So when the light shines through that top, it's showing the imagery above, and it gets, hey, from Pakistan. All right, cool. Little lighter, a little lighter. So I can do lighter colors inside of my darker colors. I'll stay off these, maybe just these front ones. I'm just doing a lighter, smaller dot on some of these. Okay, and then here, we're going to put that lighter color like this. More shapes, just like this. Just like we went the lighter on the darker here, we'll do the lighter on the darker right here as well. I'm going to go all the way to a pure white before I'm done. Each time I do a lighter color, I just want to aim for the areas that I already have my color in. That just seemed like it would look good going right off the edge there. Okay, now let's get a little bit more in here, do a couple spots there. And now let's start merging these shapes together, get more of a solid bright color. So up here they get bigger, they start merging together, they start breaking apart down in here. I'm going to put a little more of that down here, just make sure it's visible and, you know, kind of getting wrapped around by this darker color in here. Put it in there. It's fun just identifying patterns and then recreating those patterns. Real nice breakaway from trying to muscle your way toward a look. Okay, let's put lots of white up here at the top. But we've still got a lot of blue in the brush. So we're not to pure white yet. So I've got a few little spots there. And now I'm going to try to go to pure white next. And so, you know, pure white doesn't have to represent actual pure bright light always in a painting. You know, it depends how bright I light this painting. It depends on what is the brightest object represented. If I don't have the sun in the picture, I can use a pure white as something that actually still maybe is in a little bit of a shadow. Just depends on the context of the picture. So I'm not going to be afraid to go all the way to pure white, even though I want all of this to look like it has water in front of it. Pure white, and I'm just putting those same little shapes in here, breaking them apart as they go further down, further back, making them smaller. Put some wherever I see that light blue. Now I've really got the light popping out from that water. And then right up in here, isn't it cool how that curve on there, that curve just makes it feel like we've got a camera down here looking at the whole thing. I like that. Not sure I ever would have figured that out if we didn't live in such a photography era where everybody's taking pictures and posting. It's been so awesome to be an artist in this age. So cool. Endless supply for learning. Okay, I'm just putting more white and then I'm going to be done. I'm just putting little streaks of white as far down as I want to go to get this nice bright pop at the top of the picture. When it dries, maybe I'll put some rays in there coming through. It feels like maybe there should be some some of that light down in here a little bit more, huh? Let's go. Put a little bit right in there. All right, why don't we stop there? So let's wrap it up with any last comments, questions, things you want to talk about. I'll kind of step out of the way here so that we can have the picture in view as we talk. So let's just scoot. No, we want to scoot this way a little bit. Kind of looking at mirror image there. This is the whole thing so far. Got the whole picture in view. And so now the next thing I'll do when we fire it up on don't want to say the wrong date, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday in 2 days. When we do Thursday, it's going to be time to put our creatures in place. So put a mermaid in there. First mermaid I've ever painted, as a matter of fact. I think it's oil colors. Well, yeah, that's probably the effect of wet on wet, just working straight to canvas, fast blending, trying to keep that wet blended look. Can produce more of that, but there still are differences that the oils show. House paint, yeah, it's house paint. Acrylic, wall paint. I get more expensive because the consistency of it. This can has just sat here open for a long time. It's not skinning over. We're in a very dry climate, yet this doesn't skin over very quickly. I especially like this particular brand from Sherwin-Williams. And this is Emerald, and then Duration is another line from the same store. I like those two for that reason, but that's what I use for small paintings, big paintings alike. This painting can be yours for $1,000. All right, we're putting a price on it right there, huh? Good. Hey, that would be good for me. That would be good pay. I wish I had half your talent. Oh, thank you for that compliment. All of this probably is more possible than you think. Where will you paint the mermaid? How large? That's a good question. I think, I feel like it needs to be swooping through here, enjoying the scenery. So to me, it feels like it should be either going up to the light or down from the light, swooping across this valley. That's what I think makes sense for the picture. David Bell says, you make me realize I need to paint more freely. Thanks from Scotland. All right, cool. Tuning in from Scotland. Put a small sea creature trapped inside a bubble, Joe. See if there's good idea. That's fun. Yeah, we need to do bubbles. We'll do bubbles. I think it's going to be more fun to do bubbles if we have more color in the picture first. Getting a little bit of color in there for bubbles to reflect would be fun. Just the tail leaving frame. Oh, for the mermaid. Interesting idea. Just put the tail. But then how do you know it's a mermaid and not a fish? What type of acrylic do you use? Look at the FAQ page at muraljoe.com to see a good description of that. Down from the light. Yeah, I agree. I think there's, and then I can backlight it, put the glow on like the hair and the body coming out in front of the light. That'll be fun. Make a video about full-time artists or how to reach to a gallery and stuff. You know why I haven't done that? Because I'm honestly not good at it. I found a market for good instruction. And people want to be able to achieve looks for all different reasons, for hobbies, for profession. There are many muralists, artists doing a better job than me at business. Let's just say typical mural contracting business, getting mural jobs. And I do get jobs. People ask me because I'm Mural Joe. I have a name. There's a reputation. But other people make more money and do better that are less known. And so I'm not the guy for that kind of advice, really. I'm here to just show you how to get things to look like what you're thinking. You make me think I could paint. I'm going to try. You should try. And just like David said, you know, enjoy just making trash. Don't be afraid to make trash, and get a fun feel for what happens when you just stir the paint around like mud. Play in the paint, move it around, get a feel for what happens when it, you know, that really is step one. If you're careful right at the beginning, you're just moving so slow, you know. It's like trying to climb a mountain without stepping on a rock. You know, it's just too much carefulness for the ground that you need to cover. So you just get in there, just go, and you just learn. You know, you learn so much if you just move fast. Think Sherwin-Williams would deliver? I know they do here. You know, you got to ask for them to deliver to a job site. It's worth checking. I'm honestly not sure. How do you approach composition? Oh, we talked about this before. I love lines, and so for me, there's a few things that I'll do that are still highly theoretical, because I don't feel like an expert on this. But to answer the question, how I approach it, I love lines, and so if I see a line that I like, then I'm putting objects along that line. I'm not completing the line, because this is something, okay, like when I draw a person, I'm standing here because I just want to show you some lines I've observed on human form. And so I really like the line that goes, let's say, around my head, down my neck, and then diagonal to my armpit, and then along my side. It's a line. You don't see a continuing line, but I feel that line. It's that line is something meaningful and perceived, and if I draw it, then it causes me to imagine a person, a figure. So things along a line, not creating a full complete line. I love interesting lines, and so I have this object, and then I had these trees. I was like, oh, I feel like it'd be cool to have the city kind of in between. So I have this dun, 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 along this curve, but then I have this other curve going this way. So they kind of flare out, and just creating perspective actually makes interesting lines. So in the process of trying to make believable natural perspective, you'll create some really, really interesting lines inevitably. And then trial and error, I just chop it apart if I don't like it. So then when I do the mermaid, one last thing on that. If I want the picture to be about where the mermaid is going, then I'm going to put that mermaid, like where she's going will be the big part of the canvas. So like I want you to be thinking about what's over here off the canvas, what's she swimming toward? Well, I'm going to put her over here then. But if I want it to be like where the mermaid came from, where did she just come from? That question, what's this about? She just came from the surface. I'm going to put her way down here, so that all of this picture is about this mystery in the background. So where I'm deciding whether something's coming or going, and then that's how I decide like which side of middle I put it on. Thank you. I'm going for, all right. Good job, Leanne. Way to go. Kuchao is blue. All right. Painting water has been a mystery until I saw your videos. Hey, all right, cool. Yeah, man, come on. That's what I think is the most valuable, is getting questions answered. I think there's so much talent just out there that is capable of so much, but because things remain mysteriously unanswered, people go different directions instead of doing that. Which I'm not here to judge that one bit. How long did it take you to gain so many subscribers when you started this video, bro? Yeah, well, it took a long time. 2008, 2009 is when I started the channel, and I was not gaining nearly as fast as many others. I just decided, hey, people are liking this theme of genuinely helpful intentions, and so I just stayed with that, just trying to be helpful with every single video. And I think that's why I have such an encouraging bunch of you following, because you have that interest in common with me. Is, hey, we want to be part of like a caring community, helpfulness. It's not, it's how you, what you surround yourself with. And I'm really glad about that method that I stuck with in trying to do helpful content rather than just always flashbang, get a crowd. Boom, jobs. Oh, here's a cool trick. Subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not not my not my thing. Wow, interesting explanation on why you would put the mermaid. Yeah, I just giving it some deep thought one day, and I realized that was what was going on subconsciously when I liked or didn't like the way something was staged on my work. I feel like that's been my ability, really, behind the show of the painting. I think my most helpful God-given ability is being sensitive. I'm just sensitive. And so when I see lines, I know right away I like that line, I don't like that line. That shape is unattractive to me. It doesn't matter where the shape is, what it's on. I just know right away I like it, I don't like it. And I remember things that I like because it affects me. I feel it. It's a memory, And so, we all remember if we get hit by a car, if we fall down the stairs, if we hit a home run, big, exciting events. We remember. Well, color and shapes and lines are just very exciting to me, and so I retain it. So I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive guy, And so when I talk about composition, it's the same mindset as everything else. Just after long moments of reflection, I feel like this is what's happening right now, in my head, in order to make me like or not like this. Sensitivity is clear, and what is really special that you communicate and share it. Cheers. All right, man. Thanks a lot. It was a late discovery in life. I'm 40 now, and when I was in my 20s, I was too busy trying to be a rock star in a band with my brothers and very conscious of trying to be cool enough for everybody. And I was so far from being tapped into the nature that came just very naturally for me. So it's like there's a God-given nature that just flows naturally since I was a small child. But then when I saw all of the pressure and suggestions of what a person ought to be, life does that to us all. So I'm glad I found it a little later in life, and it's been so liberating to just be that person and have a platform to do it. You guys make it like a huge thrill by being here. All right, a couple more. I'm just going to do a couple more before we turn it off, because we're going to hit 2 hours if we keep going. I can burn landscapes in my mind and recall them for inspiration. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, that's a super valuable skill. I'm trying to read why something dislikes. I don't know that question. Sorry. I do. You can never put the perfect video that gets 0 dislikes. You always have to live with dislikes. One day I found out my brother put the dislike on there. He was just giving me a hard time. You have a vision, you can figure it out. When I saw your video on putting the grid on for the water patterns, I was amazed. It is actually not chaotic at all, but rhythmic. Yeah, man, it's a pattern. But isn't it true that beauty is in the balance between randomness meeting predictable patterns? And at a certain point, it's beautiful. But if you go too far to either end, completely predictable pattern, it can look cool, but we find a much more pleasant life somewhere in the balance. Nobody really wants to be surrounded by nothing but predictable patterns, visually or in rhythms of life. So I love how beauty is always in that tension between random nothing, because everything's evenly distributed, just random. There's no pattern, no predictability. We bring in a pattern to a certain point where it's like you see things pulling together all of a sudden, and then there's beauty. What inspires you? How you come up with the idea I just like the stuff I look at. You know, it's just based on everything I've ever loved when I looked at it. You make it look so easy. Thank you, thank you. Sometimes people try to paint things rather than what originally attracted them to the image, color, or structure. Well, it's a good point. It's a good point. You know, it's good to make your painting about something that is not what people will see otherwise. You know, if they're going to see the exact same thing when they look at the photo, you might not be offering. It might be an awesome display of skill, but maybe you're not offering something new. And so, you know, if you offer some kind of a look that people don't see outside of your painting, then maybe it has more value. Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. We're going to continue on this on Thursday. And so I can't thank you guys enough for doing this with me. Looks like we've got 150-ish tuned in right now. And that's a fun number. You know, we were up to a couple hundred on previous ones. So I must be getting less interesting. No, I'm kidding about that. All right, no, really, thank you for being here, and you can look at muraljoe.com. Don't forget about the FAQ, the fact page, for additional information about paints and the frequent questions that I get. All right, you guys are all so nice. You're all too nice to me. I appreciate it so much. Thanks.